All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Taylor Kyles here for CLNS Media outside of Gillette Stadium here to get you ready for 2025 Patriots training camp coming up in just a couple of weeks. And we're going to start by looking at a broad view of the entire team through a way too early accolades lens. Patriots obviously have a ton of new talent coming in, some returning talent as well. So we'll look at every single NFL award and see what Patriots player could potentially win that award for the team anyway. We're not going to go as far as saying every one of these guys could win the NFL awards, but who's going to be the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, etc. On this Patriots team. We'll start with the NFL's newest award, the Protector of the Year. Finally, the NFL giving some love to the offensive linemen.
Thank you.
Good stuff there. So we'll start with that. Taylor, who do you think will be the Patriots Protector of the Year in 2025 in front of Drake May on the offense?
I think it's got to be Mike Nwenu. Now, most people may think Will Campbell off the bat, top 5 pick, left tackle, very important position. But Mike Nwenu's already shown us he has the potential to be one of the best guards in football. We already know in this downhill run scheme that we're probably going to see from Josh McDaniels, that's an area where he thrives. There's very few guards who move the line of scrimmage like Mike Nwenu. But we also know that when he's able to stay at that guard spot consistently, be healthy, get good coaching, he's a formidable guy who's not easy to beat one-on-one. So you're hoping that this year with Doug Marrone, a veteran offensive line coach, with several assistant offensive line coaches as well to help out with the in-between and solidity. You got Morgan Moses at that right tackle spot. You got Caden Wallace, break glass in case of emergency situations. So Mike Nwenu should not move. And he mentioned last year so many times that for him, it was tough kind of bouncing from position to position. So I think the stability that he's going to bring will help Drake May, because as important as the edges are, there is nothing more important than protecting the pocket. Mike Vrabel's been adamant about that. So Mike Nwenu is a guy where when he's at the top of his game is a Pro Bowl caliber player. Hopefully he reaches that type of level in 2025.
Yeah, not a great year for Mike Nwenu or the entirety of the Patriots team offensive line, specifically moving from right guard to right tackle, back and forth. Had a good year a couple years ago, not great last year. Puts him in line to also potentially be the comeback player of the year on the Patriots, but you say that could actually be safety Jabril Peppers on the defensive side of the football. Give us your case for Peppers as the comeback player of the year.
Now, of course, Jabril Peppers last season was impacted by injury and also off-field issues, so he wasn't on the field a ton. And then by the time he did return to the field, he clearly was not himself. But before that, Jabril Peppers was one of the few playmakers on this defense, not just last season, but the year before. Anytime it looked like the Patriots are forcing a turnover or making some kind of big play, Jabril Peppers was in the area. And this is a guy where even though he's getting older, we know is the heart and soul of this defense. He's a vocal leader. The physicality that he brings, Mike Vrabel even called that out. And the versatility as well, where I know that he's not a typical free safety, right? He's someone who's going to move all over, but he's an impactful free safety where he has the range to make plays and make it tough when you're throwing even on the outside when he's in center field. And as we know, he's probably at his best near the line of scrimmage when they go in those big nickel packages where it's 3 safeties and you put Peppers in that slot cornerback spot. He and Anthony Jennings have been a nightmare combination, especially on blitzing plays. So I think that Jabril Peppers, the fact that he can force turnovers, create negative plays when he's close to the line of scrimmage, and be someone who you move all over and can be someone that's relied on in some of those key situations where the intelligence and experience that he brings pop, I think that's going to be huge for this defense, especially one that hasn't had a great time when it comes to forcing turnovers over the past couple seasons.
Let's get into the rookies now, Taylor. This team, the foundation, some veterans, obviously a lot of them coming in through free agency this year, but a lot of young talent as well. Patriots going to look towards these last two draft classes to kind of be the bedrock of this team. They bring in a bunch of offensive guys, on the offensive side of the ball through the rookie class. You say Travion Henderson, the second-round running back, is your offensive rookie of the year pick. What do you think he can do in this offense in his first year, and why can he potentially be the best one of the entire bunch?
Yeah, so you're hoping that Will Campbell wins this award, but I think that's also asking a lot. I know, again, he's a top 5 pick, but even if I think he's going to be a formidable run blocker, there's going to be issues in pass protection, as there really are for any rookies, especially guys who have the physical disadvantage that Will Campbell has, where he's a narrow player with shorter arms. Kyle Williams, I was thinking about him.
I wanted that to be my pick, just the explosion.
But we haven't necessarily seen him consistently with the starters or consistently making plays with the starters. Still very early. It was just a spring. Hopefully he can do that in the summer. But Travion Henderson, you know what his role is going to be. He's going to be a third down back. You figure they're going to use him as a gadgety player as well. And the home run speed that he brings, you know that when he's on the field, there's a good chance he's going to score no matter where he is. And not only the fact that he's going to be explosive, hopefully as a receiver, but also as a runner, give you that versatility. I think he's going to be a significant part in game plans, more so than a Kyle Williams. And I think it's going to be hard for him to make many mistakes. He's a smart smart guy. He's good in pass protection. He doesn't fumble the ball. So I think when you think of TreVeyon Henderson as a rookie, it's going to be much more positive than any negative. So it feels like he's probably got the inside track.
Patriots used their first 4 picks on offensive player this year in the NFL draft, that 4th being Jared Wilson, the center out of Georgia. But then day 3, they go defense. They start with Craig Woodson, the safety out of Cal. You have him as your defensive rookie of the year candidate on this Patriots team. What do you think he can do in that safety room? Does he have an inside track to play early? Is he going to be sort of a bench player? Obviously, you don't think so. You think he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Why do you think he can have an impact in year 1?
Well, ideally, none of these defensive players are going to be starters, right? So really, they're going to have to take advantage of the opportunities they're given and try to get as many opportunities as possible. Now, Braden Swinson is a guy I was initially going to put on this list because I love what he can bring as a situational pass rusher, but also back in the spring, we really never saw him with that top defensive group. But who did we see a decent amount? Craig Woodson. And I also think the fact that he's a young player, he's smart, he's versatile, physical, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, I think that does give him the inside track, especially Kyle Duggar we didn't see all spring. If he doesn't play, Jalen Hawkins and Jabril Peppers are your starters, and this is a Patriots defense that's going to use a lot of 3 safety packages. Craig Woodson was often the guy that you would see in the mix there, and I think when it comes down to those cuts, it's a very busy safety room, so some guys are recovering from injury and whatnot. Craig Woodson is not. I think he's going to get the chances, and based on the tape that I saw in college, as long as they put him in areas to succeed where it's not a ton of man coverage necessarily, I think that's one of the areas that worries me about him. But put him close to the box as a blitzer also. I like his run defense. Maybe put him in center field and occasional man coverage responsibilities, but maybe more as a robber where he has opportunities to kind of cut those routes over the middle of the field and get some turnover potential. Deep half safety, that's where you saw him make a lot of plays when he was in college at Cal. So I think, once again, he's going to get the chances, and I also think he has the skill set to take the most advantage of those.
Before we get into the good stuff, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, we do have to talk about the coaching staff because that's where arguably the most turnover actually happened on this Patriots team from last year to this year. You bring in Mike Vrabel, and he brings in basically an entirely new assistant coaching staff, and that's where we're going to go here. Who on this staff do you think could be the assistant coach of the year for the New England Patriots?
I think it's got to be Josh McDaniels. Just one, no one has a better resume than Josh McDaniels, multiple-time Super Bowl champion. And while people like to ascribe his success to Tom Brady, which obviously it helps a lot to have the greatest quarterback of all time, Josh McDaniels' fingerprint is all over those Patriots offenses. Very few offensive minds in the NFL know how to manipulate defenses and put their players in better positions to succeed than a Josh McDaniels. And not only that, but the fact that he's like a Vrabel or a Belichick, where he can go to different positions on the offense, whether it's the line, the tight ends, the quarterbacks, the running backs, and give his 2 cents to try to help. So I think we do see this offense take a significant step in the right direction. And, you know, Terrell Williams, we expect this defense is going to be good, but the offense is very much an unknown. There's reasons to be optimistic, but there's also plenty of reasons to worry. I think Josh McDaniels will be able to put some duct tape over some of the holes in this boat that's going to keep them afloat for this season before they can get some more talent to solidify that offensive group.
And the key here, too, with this offense is going to be what Josh McDaniels can do for Drake May. Coming into his second year, do we see the year 2 leap? We've talked about it ad nauseum on the Patriots Daily Podcast, what we can expect from the offense, Drake May, how he can make everybody else better. CLNS Media is powered by PrizePicks, the best place to get in on the action, even throughout the summer. There is still baseball, there's women's basketball, and Taylor, we are right on the cusp of football season. There will be preseason games loaded up on PrizePicks, so if you want to get in on the action, head over to PrizePicks. Use code CLNS. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. May is your pick for Offensive Player of the Year. What kind of impact can McDaniels have on May, or what does he have in his skill set, rather, to potentially actually give him the opportunity to take that year 2 leap and not just be a good rookie, but a good NFL quarterback at this next level?
I think Josh McDaniels' ability to open up the middle of the field is going to be huge for Drake May. I think that's where he thrives. Now, crossing routes are the one area where I would like to see him take a step in the next direction because we know Josh McDaniels loves his crossing routes, but he's also not going to call a ton of them if he doesn't think that it's what Drake does best. He's better at those dig routes, right, where it's just a flat release rather than one that takes you upfield. Again, would like to see Drake do better, but I think especially when you talk about the deep part of the field, like Drake in college, his best route was throwing the deep post-off play action. Very few offense coordinators, like I said, know how to manipulate defenses better than him, but specifically on play action, where he'll use the fullback, a pulling guard, different backfield action like jab steps, or even a draw play where it makes the defense think, oh, it's a late run. Nope, they're actually throwing it right over my head. So I think last season the play action attack for the Patriots was very poor. Part of that was because of scheme. Part of that was because they didn't have a lot of opportunities. McDaniels is going to lean into that play action attack. I think that's going to elevate Drake to a brand new level where his arm can actually take over. And even more than that, I know that Josh's offense is very difficult to pick up. There's a lot of pre- and post-snap adjustments, but I also think that that's going to fit Drake's skill set, where he is a very cerebral player. He wants to throw into space. He wants guys to break away from where the coverage is, and that's what this Josh McDaniels offense is designed to do. It's also going to give him as much freedom as he can handle at the line of scrimmage, which I think is going to elevate him to the next level, hopefully get him in the top half of quarterbacks in this league. So while I do think, he has to rise all ships, and that's a lot of pressure for the quarterback. But from what we saw this spring, I think he's more than capable of stepping into those shoes.
It's exciting to have a young quarterback who has the skill set Drake May has, obviously come in and as a rookie play pretty well with, kind of a sinking ship around him, to be frank. Now he comes in with Josh McDaniels, more experienced guys on the offensive side of the ball, a head coach and Mike Vrabel who knows how to handle a young quarterback, things of that nature. It'll be exciting to see what he can do.
And the Vrabel impact, like you said, the situational awareness.
100%.
Josh will help, and Mike Vrabel said, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
We know Mike Vrabel knows the rule book inside and out. So what we saw so many times late in games was Drake just not putting the ball in very safe spots. I hope that doesn't happen under Vrabel, because he's going to be much better prepared and know what to do in those situations, because he's got a guy who's just seen so many different permutations of what can happen in this league.
While the offense is a question mark, I think we all hope and think that the defense will be an exclamation point, the best thing on this Patriots team. So let's go to Defensive Player of the Year, the 84th best player according to the NFL Top 100, a second-team All-Pro in his second year. Christian Gonzalez goes from promising rookie, gets hurt in week 4, is sidelined with the shoulder injury, and comes back and has a great year in 2024, despite the rest of the I keep saying the team was awful, but it was. The Patriots weren't great last year.
It was really bad.
But there were some bright spots, including Christian Gonzalez. Now heading into year 3, why is he your pick for Defensive Player of the Year over some of these other guys on the team?
Well, one, because the guy that I was thinking about, I actually gave MVP.
I got a good tease for that. We'll wait for that, but go ahead.
But I do think the fact that this pass rush for the Patriots to be significantly better is going to be huge for Christian Gonzalez. We already saw how much success he could have when they literally did not have a pass rush. His ability to lock down players in man-to-man coverage, attack the ball, and put quarterbacks in tough spots. But what I do want to see this year is a step forward in zone coverage. And I do think with this defensive coaching staff, it'll put him in position to really succeed there. Mike Pellegrino, more of a man coverage expert, also did a great job in zone coverage, kind of stopping the bleeding when his personnel was short. But I think Gonzo taking a next step in that department, being even more of a ball hawk, will just shoot him towards the top of the league, higher than 84 on the players list, where you understand he's not a guy who forces a ton of turnovers, again, because you're playing a lot of man coverage. That's not a defense where you're put in position to do that very often. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks making not very smart throws because they're comfy in the pocket. So with quarterbacks hopefully being in a much tougher position with these pass rushers all around them, Christian Gonzalez should have better opportunities to make some plays, get his name out there even more, maybe be a first-team All-Pro this season.
We will wrap it up with MVP. Now, a very interesting choice here for you. I like it. I think I'm excited to hear you kind of vouch for this guy being the MVP of this team, someone who easily could have been the candidate for Comeback Player of the Year, easily could have been the candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. You pick this guy as your MVP, Taylor. Who is it, and why could he be the most impactful Patriot in 2025?
All right, it might be unconventional. I've got Christian Barmore as the Patriots' most valuable player. My thought process, this is going to be a defensive-led team, right? Best case scenario, you're hoping the Patriots are in the top half of the league offensively, but you know they're not going to be in the top 10. Patriots defense, if all goes well, absolutely should be in the top 10. And then the next step is, okay, who's going to be the top 10 player at their position on this really loaded team? We've already seen that Christian Barmore has the talent to be one of the best defensive tackles in football, and not just as a great pass rusher like we saw earlier in his career. We also know he can be a formidable run stopper, and even was last year when he came off the blood clots in his brief time. Now, you saw the explosiveness wasn't necessarily back, but you saw he still has that run defense in him, and I think he's only going to get better this year, especially in a system that's going to let him get upfield more and be disruptive, whereas before he was really more occupying space. So I think the fact that this is going to be a defensive-led team with one of the best players at their positions, and he's on the inside. This isn't just an edge player where you can run away from him or you can try to double team. You can try to double team on the inside, but now you're leaving Milton Williams one-on-one, right? And maybe Keon White one-on-one. I just think this is going to be a system where even if you want Christian Barmore to be the focal point of your offensive blocking where we're not going to let him wreck the game, one, you don't really have a choice because Christian Barmore has been on a defensive line where he was the only threat, and he still was able to make an incredible impact. So the fact that he's a great run defender, a great pass rusher, and also someone who's right in the heart of the defensive line and is almost impossible to avoid, I think he is going to be the most valuable player because he's going to be the guy that leads this defense towards the top of the league.
What do you say to people who push back and say, how the hell do you not pick Drake May to be the MVP of this team?
Because best case scenario, if we're being realistic, you're hoping that, like the offense, Drake May is going to be in the top half of quarterbacks in this league, but best case scenario, is Drake going to be top 10? I don't think so.
It's not an indictment
on him. It's just what he has around him. There's still quite question marks on the offensive line. You still don't have that number one bona fide receiver. You're hoping Stephon Diggs can be something like that, or at least a stabilizing presence. But even still, you don't know who that big play threat is going to be. It's really just a group of chain movers most predominantly. So I still think Drake is going to be, that's why I have him as Offensive Player of the Year.
Sure.
I still think that he is going to have a profound impact on this team. But if we're talking about who's winning you games, if it's a defensive-led team, I think that Christian Barmore is probably going to be one of the main reasons week in and week out.
Those are our way too early accolades heading into 2025 Patriots training camp. It's early. Come back to this at the end of the season, and we'll see if we were all right, and obviously hold our feet to the fire if we were not. But keep it here on Patriots Press Pass throughout training camp. We will be here every single day, bringing you the latest from Foxboro. So make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. Check out all of our pods as well. And until next time, thanks for watching.